Live from the virtual Watkins Glen in virtual Watkins Glen, New York. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the Indy Pro 2000 official iRacing Championship, Week 5, live on RaceSpotTV. Happy that all of you are with us on this beautiful Friday evening, wherever you're tuning in across the globe. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside with me in the commentary booth is Lorenzo Bonzer. And Lorenzo, Week 5 of this series entering one of the most difficult tracks on the calendar, and a deceptively tricky track at that.
Yeah, it's going to be a very deceptive track, especially getting those first two laps right, because the tire is still cold. And I think another mark of this race, which is going to be the marquee historically in open wheelers in this track, is the draft pack, because, well, let's just say from turn 1 all the way down to the inner loop, which is the bus stop, if you rather prefer, is basically a draft fast until you get to that specific corner.
And the curbs are also going to be a bit of a challenge here today, as well as they were last week at the Red Bull Ring, a great race 1 week ago. We've been to Road America Okayama in the 2008 configuration of the Phoenix Raceway so far to this point. Hockenheim Ring on the horizon, along with Iowa, Chicago, Monza, Montreal, Gateway, the WWT Raceway, and the Nordschleife to end out the season. So good calendar coming up, Lorenzo, and Watkins Glen. A bit of a wild card track on this, especially as we're sort of wedged in between two Formula One circuits.
Yeah, it's wedged into modern F1 circuits, and it's going to be an interesting one, even though Watkins Glen was actually host of the F1 back in the 70s, so it's still an F1 track, but it's not in the same category as the other two cars actually are, but still will provide a good race over here.
Known for the NASCAR series now, and we take a look at the championship standings for the Indy Pro 2000 Championship. Great start to the season for Greg Seitz. He's out in front, 305 points, but Mitchell Green there in second place, and Medema, Michael Haller, and Fabio Berchtold round out the top 5 currently in the official championship. And good points day could be coming up for a handful of these drivers if they continue their strength here at Watkins Glen. Just a little over halfway done here in the qualifying. 2 laps each of these drivers will get to set their best time on this race course. Just a little bit under 3 minutes now left to go as you get a great look at that inner loop. And we follow now Greg Seitz in the 1, making his way through the boot section here at Watkins Glen. Go down into turn number 7, the toe of the boot. Jerome Lamy currently holds the fastest lap of qualifying so far, 1:42.177. We'll see if anybody's going to be able to get on top of it as Seitz going to make his way down into the heel of the boot, turn number 8.
Yeah, and we know Seitz wants to actually go for the win here because in Red Bull, he was leading the race. He had, I think, a really good battle with Mitchell Ian Green. Sorry, it wasn't Mitchell Ian Green. It was a Finn driver. I cannot remember the name right now because I got a blank. But still, got spun around and just clipping the grass. I think he didn't get him off track right there, but it got really tricky. But he'll end up his first lap, and he's on a vengeance path.
Great run for Ann Medema as well, 1:41.975. That moves the number 2 up from seconds to first, and that lap time looked like it was just qualified for Seitz because he went off track. Lorenzo, you get any sort of 0x, 1x, 2x, 4x, your qualifying time will be deleted. That is exactly what happened for the 1. He's going to have to now regroup and try and get a good fast lap here in his second one. Try and beat that 1:41.975 from Ann Medina.
Yeah, it's going to be complicated, but one of the key things is that the tire actually picks up the heat in lap 1, but lap 2 is usually quicker by, I would say, a half a second at the least. So I know that Greg Seitz is capable enough to actually get a good time, and his qualifying pace every single race have put everybody in the grid to sleep with some considerable gap from first to second.
Mitchell Green now up to the top of the board, 1:41.782. That is a difference of about 0.2 on Medema. Let's see if Seitz is going to be able to say anything about it. At the top of the standings, currently sits in the provisional 20th place with no time. He'll be ranked by iRating if he does not have this time up on the board, which means he will start in 19th as the other driver to not take time is currently the 7, Connor Malia. He'll be ranked in last place, assuming Seitz doesn't get this time in as well. But here he comes out of the final 2 corners through turn 11 to the front straightaway. Where is Seitz going to be on the board? Gets a little bit of the curb on exit across the start-finish line. How good is it going to be? A 1:42.103. It'll be good enough for 4th. He'll start in the top 5, but it will be Mitchell Green at the front of the field to take the green flag from pole. A fantastic qualifying lap and qualifying effort from Green to start on that pole position. Time is now going to run out here in qualifying from the virtual Watkins Glen, and we'll get ready to go racing in the Indy Pro 2000 official iRacing Championship. Happy all of you could join us here this afternoon on RaceSpotTV. As it's time to grab a look at your starting grid for today's race. It's Mitchell Green on the pole, a great qualifying effort from the number 5. He'll lead the field to the green flag with Ann Medema in second place. Fabio Berchtold, Greg Seitz, and Nikita Lastanchkin rounds out your top 5. Jerome Lamy rounds out your top 6 with Martin Arnoldus in 7th. Lyubov Urezovska will round out your top 8. Matthew Morhart and Frank Nagayan rounds out your top 10. Martin Steinhilber, Jeroen Messink rounds out your top 12 with Donald Poole in 13th. Gilles Chatelain will round out your top 14. Nagisa Yoshikawa in 15th. Jordan Ward rounds out your top 16. Hans Seeger in 17th. Eric Sheradam in 18th. And rounding out your field will be Jose Almo and Connor Malia. 20 cars getting ready to take the green flag here from the virtual Watkins Glen. And Lorenzo, as everybody takes the grid, who is your eye on here today?
I got a few eyes. First and foremost, Greg Seitz is a guy to be focused on. He's a championship leader in the standings. Again, he didn't get the win on Red Bull because he actually got flipped around on turn 1 in the Red Bull ring. with Vaha Maki, and that was a really good battle. Unfortunate that it happened. But I'm really also interested to see how Conor Melia is going to go for the last to first challenge, because he didn't get a time. He actually did mistakes on the 2 laps. And the thing that works for his benefit is that this is not a standing start. It's actually a rolling start, which also plays a little bit in the strategy as well whenever you want to start this race.
Field will start to roll off behind the official iRacing pace car as they make their way around Watkins Glen. Just one pace lap, and then the Porsche pace car will make its way into the pit lane and will be underway for today's race. On the docket is 18 laps around the Watkins Glen International Raceway. And we'll see who's going to be leading on the checkered flag lap. It's Mitchell Green that will be leading the field to the green flags. They work their way up the hill for the first time under pace lap. One of the trickiest spots on this course is that uphill turns 2 and 3 leading up to turn number 4 that the field will be making their way through now. And Lorenzo, you mentioned in the pre-show just the draft that comes on this back straightaway as they go down into the inner loop. That could also prove to be one of the main passing zones. We see it a lot in open wheel racing. Passing down into the inner loop seems to be a great option, but also a bit of a dangerous option. It could lead to contact.
It could lead to contact, and this car is very, very, sensitive to contact. So if you get like a even a 0x, depending on circumstances, you can actually get some very accurate damage, and basically your day will be toasted and done. So you have to go back to the pits and go back to a menu and select another race. So I think the first few laps we're not going to see full aggression out of the drivers, but I've been proven wrong so many times. And with a run like this in Watkins Glen, because the pace car basically leaves as he goes into the final turn, and the cars as well, there could be some major chaos happening on lap 1, but I hope I'm proven wrong once again.
On board the 5 that will be leading the field to the green flag, and Medema to the left side of that number 5 machine. The 5 will have the inside line coming out of the final corner and into turn number 1. We'll see if that'll prove to be an advantage, but as the field works their way through the toe of the boot, turn number 7 will go down this straightaway, and it goes uphill, Lorenzo, but then immediately goes downhill. We've seen a lot of drivers across iRacing, when breaking down into turn number 8, end up locking up or going off because it is a downhill braking zone. Very difficult to get right, especially if you're battling side by side.
Yeah, and you basically have to brake right around the 100-meter board before you actually lock the brakes. So it's tricky for you to make that properly. So can't wait to see how the drivers will negotiate that.
Working their way now out of the boot as the pace lap will conclude here for the Indy Pro 2000 official iRacing Championship from Watkins Glen. 20 racers ready to go racing. They're just waiting for that iRacing pace car to make its way into the safety of pit lane. And then Mitchell Green will have control of the field, slam on the loud pedal, and we will be underway. Through turn 11, the Porsche iRacing pace car will duck into the pit lane. Green in control of the field. To his outside, it's Medema. Second row, it's Berchtold and Seitz with Lastachkin. Rounding out your top 5. Green flag in the hands of Barney the Flagman. Let's go racing from virtual Watkins Glen. Great start for Mitchell Green as he roars into turn number 1. The entire top 5 going to be single file. Make that top 4 as there's a move with Jerome Lamy going into the top 5. He'll stay side by side. Multiple cars going off at turn number 1. They get back on. Everybody's safe. We stay green as they race up the hill for the first time. It's Green ahead of Medema, Berchtold, Seitz, and Lamy.
Yeah, basically the TNT 2 and 3 just staying behind one another. The number 2, the number 4 car, but already Medema going on the outside of the leader.
Here he comes, good looking for that lead. Green's going to hold on to it. Medema stays in second place. Berchtold trying to defend for third. Further back, it's a huge host of cars going battling. To the inside goes Lastachkin. Trying to make a move happen. They will make it happen for 6th. Now through turn number 6 into the boot for the first time under speed. Green with a great start will keep the lead by about 2.5 tenths, but Might not be able to keep it for long. Exit of turn number 7. We'll see if that battle for the lead will change as we focus further back on a battle for the 4th spot. Greg Seitz under challenge from Jerome Lamy. Back up to the battle for the lead. Can Medema get by Mitchell Green here on the first lap? He'll stay in 2nd place, but 2 teammates following close behind as Birchtold sitting there in 3rd in the 4.
Yeah, we see Medema and Birchtold being very, very aggressive with that car, and sometimes even in the Red Bull Ring, Medema was actually fighting Birchtold at some spots to keep his position in the field. But now Seitz has a little bit of room to work with and a bit of clean air as they gun around now the final turn and in this first lap as we go to lap number 2.
So Green leads the way at the end of lap number 1. Medema in 2nd. Birchtold, Seitz, Lamy, your top 5. Lastotchkin currently sitting in 6th, trying to make a move there as we take a look at the 2 of Medema. Back over to Lastotchkin, having a bit of battling with the 9 further back, and we go on board with the 6 of Frank and Guyan trying to get by the 9 car now up the hill into the back straightaway. See if he can use a bit of that draft coming down the back straightaway into the inner loop. Doesn't look like he's going to get close enough to be able to make a move. Nobody at the front of this field going to be able to make a move into the inner loop here on lap number 2. But that single file draft train you're talking about, Lorenzo, we're already starting to see it as they work their way through lap 2.
Yeah, and the draft actually is they're not being overly aggressive like I told you. I think they're basically going to try to set themselves in the field, find where they're at and where the pace is going. And maybe with about lap 6, lap 7, then they can start being a little bit more aggressive. But of course, the full aggression, if they keep it this way, we'll go on to the final 3 laps of this race. And I can't wait to see how this goes as we still have this battle for 6th place.
4 cars in this battle for 6th place. The 19, the 9, the 6, and the 10, all separated by a handful of tenths as they work their way through turn number 8, back onto the NASCAR Cup Series config as they go uphill to exit the boot. Getting close behind the number 19 is the 9, and you can even throw Jerome Lamy in this battle and put everybody up to the battle for 5th as they are starting to catch up a little bit slowly to the 3. But look at that 9 car of Oretkovskaya trying to get by the number 19 and Nikita Lastotchkin in that draft, and you can see Jerome Lamy trying to break the draft of Lastotchkin on him. So these 3 cars all within a draft train battling down into turn number 1 as Medema sets the fastest lap, still trying to catch up to Mitchell Green at the front as we focus on the battle for 6th.
And it's funny that if I'm just looking at the lap times over here, basically all lap times are equal. Medema's fast lap was basically a 1/10 of a second faster than Mitchell Green. Everybody else is basically within the 42 mids to highs right now.
More snaking down the back straightaway as they go back into the inner loop. It is Lastotchkin leading this group, or sorry, Lamy leading this group, is getting close together a little bit further up. Battle for 3rd, Birchtold and Seitz battling for that 3rd spot, the 4 and the 1 heading down into the inner loop, and you can see that gap just about 2 tenths within each other in the same gap, roughly about 3 tenths for the leader. This gap for 3rd a little bit closer. They work their way through turn 7. See if he's able to get close enough to make a move, Lorenzo. It looks like a handful of these drivers can use that draft once they get within a certain time of the car in front. Doesn't look like they're able to close in any faster.
I think they can actually get closer, but then it comes like the risk versus reward. If you really want to move up a spot, why are you moving in the twistiest part of the track, right? You're eventually going to lose time to the guys ahead of you. They know they're not battling, and they're going to be basically opening up a 1-2 second extra time gap on you, and it becomes harder for you to catch up within the final lap. So, again, this is more like of a pack race. If you're not on a draft, it becomes really complicated. It comes on driver skills alone, and with these kind of cars, it can be a little bit of a handy for you to actually get that time on skills all by yourself.
There goes Green right back to the top of the board with the fastest lap of the race set last time by. He still leads the way. Birchtold and Seitz battling for 3rd. Lamy and Lastotchkin battling for 5th a little bit further back, and you can add Oretkovskaya to that list as well, back in 7th. The number 9 machine getting a little bit close to the 19 as they work their way down into the bus stop. Not able to be close enough as we get a great shot at all of the cars here in this race, and right back to this battle between the number 1 and the number 4. Birchtold buying his time right now as it seems like a lot of the field within just a couple of tenths of each other. 2 car packs running here and there. Nobody able to make it really any harsh moves as the 18, Eric Sherazam, is off in the, looks like the outer loop, turn number 5, going through the carousel. We'll see what happened to the number 18 here on the replay. Went through the inner loop, looked good in the number 18, and then did he get just a little bit too on the curb? No. Was it contact with the car behind? Yes, it was. It looked like the car behind him got a huge head of steam coming through the carousel, and the 18 was going just a little bit too slow, and the contact was made.
Yeah, I think the line taken by Sheridan actually wasn't fast enough for Nagisa Yoshikawa to get close, check up, and if the checkup would have been made, it probably would have been a 3-car pile up right there. But the problem is Yoshikawa actually broke his front wing and had to claw himself back to the pits, up to the point that he had to tow back to the pits.
There's another look, and you can see it turned right back into him as well. Unfortunate for both of those drivers. Looked like Yoshikawa also not enough of an opportunity to really react there either, as Sherazam will make his way into the pit lane. Back to the battle for third. Seitz and Berchtold, same first, just a different lap, and down into the inner loop once again. Gap remaining just about the same between these two as they work their way through.
And Seitz basically using the full run of the track, as we still see this catch up from Gilles Chatelin and Matthew Morhart. No, not Morhart, but Chatelin defending position from Steelhauber, because I think Steelhauber managed to retain for now.
Also want to point out on that battle graphic, Connor Melia coming from starting in 20th place. He's up 6 spots from where he started, now in 14th. Great run for the number 7 so far tonight, as he'll try and get by Chatelin there for P13. On board with the number 6, Franken Guyan, currently running in 8th, trying to catch up to Arezkovskaya in front, trying to catch up to Lastachkin and Lamy, as well as it looks like Lorenzo pretty much third down all the way to 8th in this one little 5-car single file pack, all separated by roughly about the same margin as they draft their way through Watkins Glen. The 2 leaders are way out in front. Then it's this gap group of 5. I'd even count group of 6 as Arnoldus in 9th place is also in it, and then another group further on from there.
Yeah, it's a 6-car pack, as now Lastachkin managed to make the fastest lap of the race with 42.038. But I think it's going to be complicated for Seitz to actually get closer within the leaders, so we expect this 6-car train to be closer to one another, just marking themselves and fighting for positions. As we see the track conditions over here, it's partially cloudy, but the track conditions kind of cold for this day, in a summer day in the United States. 27 degrees in the track, and ambient is 22, 25 looks like.
And a lovely sunset as well here in the final sector of Watkins Glen, as we reach about roughly 7:10 sim time right now, and we'll be ending in a beautiful sunset as well. As look at that glow coming from the sun here in the sunset at Watkins Glen. You can especially see it here in the boot as they run their way up the hill. You can see it just for a moment as we go on board with Lastachkin trying to catch up to Jerome Lamy there in the number 3 machine, battling for 5th. Turn 8, the heel of the boot, and right back onto the power goes the number 19. Trying to use that slipstream to his advantage, and still a handful of drivers just running roughly about 3/10 away from each other, and it's about 3/10 all the way down in intervals, roughly about. It's fluctuating from here or there, but roughly about 3/10, especially going through the long corners. Oh, and hard into the wall goes Lamy. A huge mistake from the number 3 machine. Gets a little bit too much curb on the exit. He slams the guardrail. That's going to move him down into 9th and possibly more with damage.
Wow, this is fully unexpected, as we're going to see again on the replay, as LeMay is going to go on the second to last turn, basically set himself up the final turn here, Josh. And let's take a look if it was, I think, a little bit of a aero wash together with some understeer out of the car, unnatural understeer, and he's smashed the Yarmco barrier on the outside. Looks like he does have damage, but the time loss is considerate.
Also looked like you could see it. Yeah, it looked like he might have gotten just a little bit too far on the curb. He tapped that rear wheel on the tire barrier that's a bit pushed out there at the exit of the corner. Just quick tap to that rear wheel, and it sent him right into the other tire barrier and then eventually back into the guardrail. So unfortunate for Lamy. He was having a really good race, and if he doesn't have a lot of damage, he'll be able to stay on the racetrack, but if he does, that is definitely going to be a trip down pit lane for the 3. Battle for the lead continues. Medema still in second, Green still in first. They've been like this since the drop of the green flag. Seitz and Birchtold have swapped positions. Seitz up 1 from where he started, Birchtold down 1, and then Lastotchkin rounding out your top 5. Also exactly where they began they began the race at the green flag. Greg Seitz also with the fastest lap of the race, 141.966. The only driver so far here in this race to dip their toe into the 141 range. As we continue to follow the battle for the front spots, and Medema's been very close on a lot of these laps. Lorenzo just not making the move. Do you think he's buying time or just can't get close enough?
I think he's buying time, but I think he realizes that Seitz is coming like a bullet to be right behind him. And I think right now, Medema might see a little bit more desperation to try to make those moves. But once he becomes the hunter, he will eventually become the hunted, because then again, he's going to have to swap draft with Ian Green and then have Seitz as a 3rd car and possibly Birchtold as well as the 4th leg over here. It will become a little bit tricky to Medema to try to make those moves. If I'm him, I will do it right now.
On board with the 2. Going now through turn number 7 here at Watkins Glen to the back straightaway of the boot, uphill to downhill, and we get a great look out the back of this Indy Pro 2000 as well. He has Greg Seitz behind him that is trying to close that gap. It's about an 0.8 gap at the moment. Back out of the boot goes Medema. Seitz closing in just a little bit more on the entry of the corner. Looks like that one car might have something if he can catch up to these front 2. Also fastest lap of the race for the number 1 machine as well. So we know Seitz is fast. He's the leader of the point standings here in the Indy Pro 2000 official iRacing Championship as well. But Green still holds on to the lead, and we'll now have 10 laps to go here from the virtual Watkins Glen. Who is going to walk away with this win? It is going to be a close one, especially if, like you mentioned, Lorenzo, if Medema is buying time, soon is going to become the point where you need to start pushing and start going for it. That point's going to come up incredibly soon, because 10 laps doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think 10 laps is a lot, it's going to go by in a flash.
It goes by in a flash. Of course, this is not the Red Bull ring, so this track is short. I'm not going to say shorter, but about the same length as the Red Bull ring. Is about 1 kilometer bigger than the Red Bull ring. But still, it's a track that if you make it the slightest lip up, even the slightest lip up, it's enough for you to lose the toe. Once you lose the toe, it's hard to recover. Like I said, and Seitz is just lurking right there, just waiting for a mistake. If Medema makes a mistake, he gets within the real draft range, and then it can become problematic for Medema to try to defend. So we have some interesting situations right there. That's why Birchtold actually let Seitz go, because he thought he could actually stay on the wing and go for those spotting spots, but the gap that Seitz opened up has just been too big right now to recover.
Battle for 4th between Birchtold, Lastotchkin, Oretskaya, and Ngayan as they work their way through the final sector here at Watkins Glen. It looks like a handful of these drivers starting to close in just a little bit further on each other. Specifically, Lastotchkin on Birchtold, now within a good striking distance. So is Oretskaya as well in a good striking distance here as 3 cars battle for 4th. You can see they're all running in a simple pack here, and Birchtold going way wide. Lastotchkin and Oretskaya follows as they work their way back up the hill through turns 2, 3, and 4. Going on to the back straightaway with 9 to go. You're on board with Oretskaya in the 9. Following right in the tire tracks of the car in front. Here's a move being made. Listotchkin to the inside of Berchtold, heading into the inner loop, and Berchtold's going to give the spot away. Listotchkin with a great move to the inside, forces Berchtold out of the gas and put Listotchkin in the 19. Now up to P4.
Yeah, good move from Listotchkin to actually make the overtake, opportunistic overtake, and Berchtold just gave the entire room, kind of compromised his entry a little bit. Force Ozedovskaya to actually chuck up right in mid-apex, going to the outside of the inner loop, and that kind of brought you in as close as well. So the number 6 car now right on the rear wing out of the Kazaki driver.
Looked also like Berchtold getting out of the gas there just to prevent an incident, because we've seen a lot of incidents with side-by-side cars diving down into the inner loop. A lot of times it does lead to a bit of contact. But Berchtold and Listotchkin live to go on for another lap, and Listotchkin sitting there now in 4th. Berchtold falls to 5th. We'll see if Arezkovskaya will be able to now make a move on the number 4. As 4 cars now all fighting their way through the final sector, and 3 cars up in front as well. They're a bit more spaced out than the group we're taking a look at now, the 19, the 4, the 9, and the 6. But up at the front, it is a gap of roughly about 6/10 in between Mitchell Green and Ann Medema, and about 3/10 in between Medema and Seitz as we follow this 4-car battle for 4th up the hill. We'll see if Arezkovskaya is going to be able to make a move on Berchtold. They're a little bit closer than they were last time by. They're getting there, closing, all of them closing on each other. Berchtold will dive to the inside, going into the inner loop. They go side by side, but Berchtold having to get out of the gas as he goes over the curb, and now through the carousel. He's still within about 1/10 to try and make a move as they enter the bus stop.
Yeah, playing dangerous games with the entry right there, but good on Listotchkin to actually keep up the speed in between the apexes and avoid a major check-up between the drivers. And meanwhile, also Seitz tried to go for the move right in the front as well, but let go Medema, which opened up the gap a little bit to Ian Green, so he has a little bit of room to breathe for now.
Making their way through the boot, down into turn number 8. And right back up they go in the battle for 2nd place now between Green, Medema, and Seitz. They're all battling for the race win, and time is running out. We'll have 9 laps to go this time by. Or sorry, no, it is 8 laps to go if I could do some proper math. Oh, no, it is 7 laps to go. Man, I cannot do proper math today, but 7 to go at the line. And we'll continue on racing here at Watkins Glen as Green, Medema, and Seitz your top 3. Taking a look at that battle now. Listotchkin and Berchtold continuing to fight further back. Arezkovskaya is going to make a bold move to the inside in turn number 1. He'll get by Berchtold. That'll move Berchtold to 6th as he continues to fall in the tail end of this race. But Arezkovskaya now going to punch his way into the top 5. Not done is the 4 as they work their way back up the hill to the back straightaway.
I think the thing that worked for Ozedovskaya, I was going to say there's the draft right ahead of her, but he's going to have to let go Berchtold once again so he reclaims his position.
Great move on Berchtold with Arezkovskaya. She'll fall to 6th once again, and Berchtold up into 5th. Now, can he catch up to Listotchkin, who sits currently in the 4th spot, and go back to where he was? He's going to need to gain 2 more spots if he wants to be even on the day here at Watkins Glen. He started up in 3rd today, but Seitz way up the road as we go on board with him right now, trying to battle by Medema. Down the back straightaway of the boot, downhill, braking into turn number 8. Seitz getting ever so close, just not able to get close enough to make a move, and it's tough to make a move exiting the boot here. His best opportunity might be turn number 1. If he can get a great exit out of this turn 10 or turn 9, a great exit out of turn 10, and a great exit out of turn 11, get a really good run down the front straightaway and make a move into turn number 1. We'll see as we'll take 6 to go at the line. A little bit of a touch to the grass as they apex the corner.
Yeah, actually he's using the grass kind of as a little way to mark his entry without even he doesn't break the car, because of course had he break the car into the corner on the grass, would have been complicated and he would have probably been dead, because grass is lava over here in iRacing. But luckily for him, actually, he just uses it as a mark for you to go lift up the gas a little bit, then brake, slight brake, and just let the car go. As now they're going to the backstretch, and now Green's going to be under pressure.
He is under pressure. Going to the outside is Medema. Not able to get there. He had a little bit of an opening on the outside into the corner, but decided against it. Got out of the gas and now will sit back in second place. Sights sitting in third. The gaps will now reset, and as they come across the line, this time by for 5 to go. Time is running out for these drivers to make their moves here in this race. On board of the RaceSpotTV, able to get back by Berchtold. Here is how she did it. Great move on the outside under the slipstream, able to get a great run down the straightaway and goes right on by. Put the 9 back up into the top 5 as they'll now work their way out of the boot. Your battle for the lead. Medema might have an opportunity going down into turn number 1, Lorenzo, but they need a good exit here. They need to keep up with Green. Green seems to just pull away on every entry in the middle of the corner. Exit is where Medema is just a slight bit better.
Yeah, it's good. The draft works a little bit for Medema's way right there. Now you're going to see on the straight a little bit of the break off the draft. Some Indy 500 strats being played over here as we have about 5 to go. So it's going to be interesting now how Green is going to react to seeing both cars being aggressive. And I wouldn't bet there would be a probability of 3 wide in these 5 final laps of the race.
I was about to say, it did look just a little bit shades of Indy 500 down the back straightaway at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here it is again. To the outside goes Medema. Where is Sights going to go? He was stuck in the middle there, but getting out of the gas once again is Medema. Won't make the move side by side. Going down into the inner loop. Here comes Sights now. Where's he going to go for third? It is 5 to go here at Watkins Glen. Time running out. They're going for moves now as here comes Sights. Going to look to the outside of Medema for second. We'll go back to the inside, falling back into line as they work their way through the boot.
I think he tried to go for an up and under right there on the exit out into the entry out of the boot, but wasn't good enough to get that run and didn't have any openings on the outside of the corner because it was basically covered by Medema. Now full reset it. We're gonna see that 3 wide maybe again in the next lap.
On board with the number 1 of Sights. Can he get away from third? Because it has been pretty much an uphill day for Sights. He only started in 4th, but even still, running up in 3rd. Great day for Sights. If he can keep that up, he might be able to come home with a second place finish, but Medema feeling the pressure with seeing that number 1 in his mirror as he's just trying to catch up to Green for the race lead.
Yeah, because that's what they need. That's what he needs. You know, he needs that draft to work his favor. As they open up the lap number 15, so 4 to go over here on the track. It's going to be complicated for him to make the overtake right here, but I think now Medema's job is to get within maybe 0.3 of a second, 0.2 of a second when they go into the inner loop, and I think Sights would think the same thing because if there's one guy's loss, another guy's gain, and at this point in the race, we don't know who's going to be that guy who will win instead of the others.
On board with Sights again, down into the inner loop. Nobody able to get close enough this time. Further back, RaceSpotTV has caught Listachkin. They're within a good battle, but Sights still within striking distance of Medema. But it does seem like with these cars on this track, Lorenzo, 2 passing zones are really the first corner and the corner entering the inner loop. Everywhere else seems to be a bit, I'm not going to call turn 1 and the entrance to the inner loop not danger zones, but everywhere else seems to be too difficult to even be worth a try.
I think it's the arrow of these cars that do not allow them to get closer. If this was like F3s, probably you would see now moves being done on the downhill into the heel into the toe of the boot. So it's going to be interesting how they negotiate right there. As they now climb up into the exit out of the boot, as RaceSpotTV will be on the pressure on Listachkin as they're going to open up lap 16.
3 to go when they come across the start-finish line this time by. Green still leads ahead of Medema, Sights, Listachkin, RaceSpotTV rounds out your top 5. It's Berchtold, Ngayan, Arnoldus, Lamy, and Morhart, your top 10 as we enter the twilight stage of this race. Sun continuing to set here at Watkins Glen, and we're going to see a driver take the win under the set of the checkered flag. Back to the battle for the lead. Medema in seconds, not within striking distance of the 5 yet again, but the 1's within striking distance of the 2. Does he make a move? No, he doesn't. Stays within the slipstream, heading into the inner loop, taking a lot of curve on the entry. Medema gets a little bit upset, and look at the dive coming from Oretskov's Kaya now, side by side out of the inner loop, and Guy into the outside of Berchtold into the carousel. It'll stick, and then Guyan's gonna move up to 6th.
Yeah, it looks like Nikita actually made a mistake on the entry and basically checked up everybody. That's why Berchtold went to the outside, into the bus stop or the inner loop, or whatever you prefer, and allowed Nguyen to come in, made the overtake on him, and Berchtold now sits back in P number 7. I think Ian Green might have got this one in the bag if he doesn't make any mistakes, because as we approach 2 to go over here, Josh, I think Seitz is not going to play patient anymore.
The time to play patient is gone as they'll come across the line. 2 laps to go from Watkins Glen. And that only means, really, with what we've been seeing here today, with only 2 passing zones really on this track during this race, it only gives 4 more opportunities to make a pass. Weaving his way down the front straightaway is Mitchell Green in the 5, trying to keep all his cars behind him. It's Medema and Seitz that'll go battling for second. Medema goes wide. Seitz keeps it a little bit more towards the inside. On board with Seitz running up the hill. He'll get close to Medema. When's he going to make the move? He moves out to the outside line. It's not going to be able to hold. He might need a little bit more slipstream. He'll get that from the race leader. Almost touching tires. Almost touching the side pod as they go side by side. Wheel to wheel into the inner loop. Having to get out of the gases. Seitz. Medema will keep second place.
Nice defense from Medema on the inner loop. And I was looking into Seitz on the exit out of turn number 1. He actually had to go for a small lift off the gas because had he gone for the full pedal, that would have been a good opportunity for him to wiggle the car and lose a little bit of time of just how much he's committing that car to fight against Medema. And meanwhile, you know who says thank you very much with this battle? Ian Green. Look at the gap, 1.3 seconds of both drivers.
They'll come to the white flag this time by Medema losing a bit of time to Green. Green really pulling away now in the late stage of this race. Seitz still has an opportunity to get by Medema. He's right on that back wing. He might need to be a little bit closer coming through turn number 1, able to get a better slipstream up the S's and make that move earlier to hopefully be clear by the entry to the inner loop. But out of the final corner for the 5 of Mitchell, Ian Green. He'll come across the start-finish line. Barney the flag man frantically waving the white flag for the 5. And look at Medema pushing Seitz all the way down to the pit wall as they enter turn number 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit aggressive now how Medema is going to play out far. Running quite wide into turn number 1 is Medema, so it's going to open up the good run for Seitz to get within up the hill. Right on the top of the crest, and that draft I think is going to be complicated. We'll come down to the entry of the inner loop.
Oh, a move down to the inside for Seitz, trying to find any way by. Medema able to block. He'll shut the door on the 1 entering the inner loop. That could have been the final opportunity for Seitz to get by. And now Medema going to try and run away in second. Look at the run through the carousel for Greg Seitz. Not able to get close enough to make the move on Medema. The 2 will keep second place, but Seitz does not want to give up just yet. From third place, trying to fight for second. Does he make a move heading into the toe?
Yeah, because now they go up the hill, and there's a little bit of run now. If Seitz actually keeps the speed over here, it will be complicated. I can totally see a dive bomb being made over here. It's just how Seitz is going to work that out.
Block made from Medema. Seitz going to be forced to go the long way around on the outside. Medema with the better run through the middle of the corner. He'll keep the lead, shut the door once again. Down to the inside, a bold move from Seitz. They make contact. Medema is sent off. The 2 sent off in the final corner of the boot, turn number 9. He'll fall to 4th as Lastanchkin goes by. Seitz goes just a second, but beating all of them to the start-finish line, Mitchell Green wins a wild finish from Watkins Glen.
What a finish. What a finish. More, a very classical Watkins Glen kind of like finish, but with the problems for Medema, he's dropping back like a rock because he actually has damage on the left-hand side of his car and managed to just get away with 10th place over here. Let's take a look at the replay. That move right on the exit out of the boot.
A second place now turned to 10th for Medema.
Oh,
And this also happened going into the final corner. Here's the look at what happened in the boot here. So you can see he's being really defensive down to the inside, not letting sights down there. But it goes from a right-hander to a left-hander. And Medema left it open just a little bit. That's all sights needed. Made a dive to the inside, late braking, got loose, and came right up into Medema's line. And unfortunately, that led to the damage, and that led to the incident going through the final corner as well for Medema on board with the one.
yeah, it's unfortunate. You're going to see the commitment out of size. The car gets really loose on the entry. Had the car been a little bit more straight, this could have been a side-to-side battle all the way up to the exit out of the turn, but I think the wiggliness out of the car just what was the undoing for size to get within the context of it. I mean, look at the wheel. Like, the wheel is fully bent to the right-hand side, so the wheel the suspension damage from them was just way too much to consider.
Yeah, and there's the incident that happened in the final corner as well. That pushed Medema further down the order to 10th place. Luckily able to salvage a top 10, but definitely did not want to finish down in 10th place from second. But that is everybody across the line here from the virtual Watkins Glen. And what a race for Mitchell Green. Led every single lap here at Watkins Glen to walk away with the win in the number 5 car. Greg Seitz comes home in second place after a bit of contact coming out of the boot on the final lap. Nikita Lastachkin comes home third. Franken Guyen in fourth, with Fabio Berchtold rounding out your top 5. Martin Arnoldas comes home in 6th. Lyubov Oreskovskaya comes home in 7th. Matthew Morhart in 8th. Jerome Lamy in 9th after an early incident. And there's Medema, who had contact with Greg Seitz on the final lap, finishes down in 10th. Jeroen Messink finishes 11th. Martin Steinhilber in 12th. Donald Poole in 13th. Jordan Ward in 14th. Hans Seeger in 15th, Gilles Chatzelin in 16th, Jose Almo in 17th, Eric Shiradam in 18th, Conor Malia in 19th, one lap down. Unfortunate day for him. He had a good start to the day, but Nikisa Yoshikaya with a little bit of a worse day, finishing down in 20th place after contact with the number 18 going through the carousel. Well, Lorenzo, what a race here from Watkins Glen. We had a bit of strung out racing in the middle portion of that race, but man, that finish was exciting between a handful of drivers who all were making moves.
Yeah, especially Nguyen and Ozeratovskaya, because Nguyen actually managed to pass Lyubov, I think, on the second to last lap. And they basically, and she tried to go side by side on the second to last turn, but she didn't get a good run in it, and allowed Nguyen to actually open up the gap. But Nguyen, I think, coming from 7 all the way up to 4th place and clawing himself back up, shows why he's one of these skilled drivers with this Indy Pro 2000. A guy that actually has knowledge in the IR18. He drives in some of the leagues here in iRacing, but this race was your traditional Watkins Glen finish. You know, the start a little bit hectic, the mid portion a little bit more calm than usual, but the Andy always delivers.
Well, we say goodbye from Watkins Glen here, but we will be back 1 week's time from the Hockenheim Ring for week number 6 of the Indy Pro 2000 official iRacing Championship. We thank you all for joining us live here on RaceSpotTV for all the exciting action here today. For Lorenzo Bonzer, Connery Maddock, my name is Joshua Lee. Thank you for joining us from the virtual Watkins Glen, and we'll see you in 1 week for the next round of the Indy Pro 2000 official iRacing Championship from virtual Hockenheim.